Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2022 film Bones and All. There's been a lot of talk about this one, a lot of hype around it, especially because I ended up seeing it on a lot of people's best horror films of 2022 lists. Now, at this point when I'm shooting this review, I haven't finalized my list yet, but by the time this review comes out, you will be able to go to my channel and see that list, because this is going to come out well after that. I'm just kind of like jamming in all these movies last minute at the end of 2022, just so I can do the list, and then I'll release the reviews later. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Bones and All so I can tell you my thoughts on this film. Directed by Luca Guadagnino, who also did The Protagonists, I Am Love, Call Me By Your Name, and the Suspiria remake, which I haven't seen, but I've heard pretty good things about, and at some point I will be getting to that one. Also, doing Call Me By Your Name makes a lot of sense why then Timothée Chalamet is in this film, because Timothée Chalamet was in that film. And a lot of times when filmmakers find someone they like working with, they work with them again, and that happens here. So with people like Timothée Chalamet in this film, you can make the assumption, and you would be correct, that the cast is really good, the acting is really good. The other thing is Luca Guadagnino has really established himself already, so going into this you can also probably assume correctly that it looks fantastic. Very good camera work, nice smooth motions, very well framed shots, cool camera angles from time to time. Great kind of like movements to follow characters, and some that are very inspired, interesting shots. So looks like a great film. A lot of great technical things with this film. My biggest issues with this film come in with story and pacing and the length of it, because it definitely needs to be knocked down a bit, but I'll talk more about that as we go on. One of the interesting things about this production was that apparently while they were shooting, it was burglarized. They shot a portion in Cincinnati, Ohio, and yeah, their set was burglarized. People, you know. So that sucks. But didn't tell you who this was written by yet. I got a little bit sidetracked, my apology. Written by David Kajganich. Kajganich. Hopefully I said that right. Probably not. Who produced the Suspiria movie and the Terror TV show, and is also based on a novel by Camille DeAngelis. Synopsis. Don't want to give too much away, although you probably already know more than you should about this film at this point between trailers and what people are saying online and those types of things, reviews that you may have already seen. So I'm going to keep it as vague as I can for anyone who doesn't know anything about the film, which is probably the best way to go into it. There is something about the main character, Mirren, that is revealed very early on in the film. She's very much an outcast in society. Her father leaves her, and she is on her own, so she goes off on this trek to go find her mother, who she did not know. She meets other people who are also very much outcasts like her. Timothée Chalamet being the main person, the character Lee, who she really kind of attaches to, and then it basically becomes about their journey across the country and their relationship, the people that they run into, the situations they get into, and how they're going to come together, and are they going to stay together? Can their lives actually be any, somewhat normal because of how they are? All that type of stuff. And obviously it's horror, and you can probably guess at some of the stuff at play here, but it is worth the ride. It is worth checking it out, even though it is 2 hours and 10 minutes with the credits, and it definitely does not need to be that long, in my opinion. But a lot of people will probably disagree, which is fine. There is good use of stints with no score in this film, which I'm a huge fan of. When you drop the music out and you just let the sound design shine, I feel like it's a great way to immerse the audience in the environment of the film even more. I think it builds atmosphere a lot better, in my opinion. And that's what they do a decent amount in this film, and I love those moments. It allows you as a audience member to just kind of take things in, explore the scenery, and just kind of be with your own thoughts and decide how you feel about what's going on in the film. And this is a good film for that type of thinking, I will say. There's something that happens early that feels like it is out of the blue, but it happens so early it really actually becomes kind of an establishing moment for the world that's going to be established. Sorry, I used established twice, but it throws you off at first, but then as it goes on, they kind of reveal the world that they're trying to create, filmmaker wise, and you settle into it eventually. And there are certain things you just start to accept, and you're just like, okay, this is how things are, this is how it's going to be, and then you settle into it and you get very much focused on the story. So it's a little bit awkward and abrupt at first, but trust me, you get used to it. It gets weird early, but it creates its own world, and then things really do start to make sense, like I was kind of saying. So in addition to having that kind of abrupt, awkward thing, it's weird. It gets very weird early on, but then the weirdness kind of dies down because things within the context start to feel more normal. You just get used to it. The pacing is pretty slow, but the characters are really interesting, I will say that, and you really want to know where things are actually going to end up going. And also for anyone who loves these kind of like cross-country journey films and kind of like tales of people finding themselves and finding each other and, you know, interesting character pieces, this will be a film that you will highly enjoy most likely. I'm kind of in between on films like that. It has to be done kind of the right way, and pacing is a big thing for me. So I did quite enjoy the film, and that will be reflected in my rating. But this had the potential, if the pacing was better and it was shaved down some, to get an even higher rating for me. This could have been a phenomenal film in my opinion, but it is quite a good film as is. Great looking smooth camera work with well-framed shots. Already talked about that one. The story lulls you into connecting with characters you wouldn't think that you would end up connecting with naturally. That's all I'm going to say about that because I don't want to reveal too much about the actual story, but you find yourself in this position of really settling into the story and kind of like sympathizing with certain characters, and then when you step back from it, you're like, this is kind of making me a bit uncomfortable, and I wouldn't normally sympathize with people like this, but the way the storytelling is happening and the music being a big thing that kind of like gives you a cue of how you should be feeling at certain times just kind of lulls you into it, and you're just like, guess this is what I'm into now. Guess this is what I'm sympathizing with now. Like can be kind of uncomfortable when you step back and consider it. The interactions between the main characters drive a lot of it forward, plus the encounters that they end up having along their road trip. But it really mainly is about the characters of Mirren and Lee. There are obviously a bunch of other people who end up playing a significant role in their journey, one in particular, but it's mainly about them, and the performances are so good, and the relationship is so interesting, and the dialogue is so well written in this that it does keep you engaged, even though the pacing is not the best. Again, the performances are quite good in this, but I do have to call out one actor in particular who plays the character of Sully, Mark Rylance. By far, my favorite performance in this film. Sully, played by Mark Rylance, phenomenal job. I was living for that character to be on screen. Like, the scenery chewing was unreal with what Rylance did. I want to see more Mark Rylance going forward, because I looked at his IMDb page and he hasn't actually been involved with that much stuff. With how great of a performance he gave, I was like, he had to have been in so much stuff, because he's not a young person. Like, he's older in age. And I was like, he had to have been in like so much stuff that I just didn't know he was in, and it was great stuff. But he's been in stuff. He has credits. I just thought there was going to be a lot more. I want to see more from him. I'm saying this right now. This film probably needs about 30 minutes knocked off of it, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm sure there will be a lot of people who disagree with me on that, and that's totally fine. I get it. This is just one of my things. I need better pacing in films. When it gets super slow to a point like this, it does feel like it's wasting my time to some degree, but it is overall quite a good film still. This is a film that if you swap out the score with some more intense and dark music at times, it plays like an entirely different film. Consider that. If you've already seen the film, or when you see the film, when you're done with it, look back and consider all the like lighter, more emotion inducing music that ends up in certain areas of this film, substitute that in your brain with intense dark music, it totally changes the film. It totally changes the tone of it. It changes everything about the film. And that's one of the great things about how film is constructed, is everything matters so much. And it is films like this that really point that out to people, or at least it does to me. But I think about these things. I'm weird. I'm a nerd about it. But anyway, out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give Bones and All a very good 4-star rating. I think it is quite good. I saw a lot of people being like 5 stars. It's not that for me, but it is definitely a very good 4-star film. There is a possibility it could end up on my top 10 list. I don't know. I actually might even do more than a top 10 list. I might do like 15 or 20 or something like that, because there was a good amount of stuff that I do want to talk about. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this film. We can do spoilers in the comments. That is fine. Go ahead and put it down there. Love it, hate it, in between. Just give me like a sentence or two why you did or didn't like it. Also, do me a quick favor, hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate that. It is literally the best way to repay me if you like any video I've ever done, including this one. Also, hit the notification bell button, because then you know when I'm putting up new videos, and I'm doing at least 4 a week, which is a good amount of work. So support my work. I'm putting in a lot of work. I really do put in a lot of work with this channel. But regardless, thank you very much for watching this video. And until next time, keep it brutal.